women's division action here on field 1 at the European Ultimate Championship Finals 2023, and it is really starting to heat up even in the early stages. This women's division with some spoils across the field here. Bagels, upsets, we've got a little bit of everything. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, here alongside Rachel Douglas, and talk us through this matchup. A all-star JinX Berlin team versus Dublin's Gravity.
Yeah, this is going to be such an exciting game. I'm so excited that we're here to bring it to you. JinX and Gravity both having played 2 games today, both having comfortable victories over Jet Set, but then both being followed up with very tight games against 3SB. Dublin Gravity taking the win 15-14, JinX taking the win 15-13. So that's both teams having been put under quite a lot of pressure today, and coming into this game with everything to play for. They need to be the one who kind of ekes their way above the other if they want to stay at the top of this pool. So yeah, I think it's going to be an absolute showdown of titans in the women's division. Really excited that we're able to bring you the action.
Absolutely. Well, we know that Dublin's Gravity were really excited to snag that spot, the wild card entry from the spring invite back on the fields in Nottingham in the early stages, because of course massive congratulations to Claire Pugh for getting married and sealing away half of Gravity's roster from the EUCR West, or as we know it back home, UK Nationals. So they didn't have a full squad, but they are back to full fighting strength here on the fields in Wrocław, and they will start this game on offense. Of course, look out for the likes of Gilheeney with every single throw in the bank. Chambers, one of the big receivers, amongst, to name but a few of course, of the gold medalists from back in 2019 at the European Nation Championships. But JinX with their new well-weaved in compatriots, Gilheeney with the disc. Initially connecting with Chambers, no surprise there. Shot up the far sideline. Easy movements. Just taking the open side shots, jamming it in the jam holes, you could say. Gilheeney just squeaking through to the front cone. A little bit of footwork, and that is the first on the board. A clean whistle hold for Gravity.
Yeah, not seeming too stressed by that, kind of just calmly working it up, finding the option. That was a bit of a squeeze into the end zone there. Some nice tidy footwork to make sure that stayed in, but Gravity starting the game with some sort of calm and collected vibes on offense. JinX, it's hard to come out on defense. It's hard to come out with the fire that you need to get like a block, you know, and in these early points. We know this is going to be a tight game, so the D lines are going to have a bit of a thankless task of probably playing a number of points where they're not going to see those turnovers. But that will be where the difference lies. Can they get turns? Can they convert turns? And can they ultimately get an advantage? But we've seen it here so far already a number of times. Getting the advantage isn't quite enough. Both these teams really gunning for it.
Well, certainly that is what you got to do first, though, is just punch that one in.
Starts with one.
Absolutely. And well, that is oftentimes what coaches will talk about, winning the game inside the game. But Anna Gerner, you can see that K taped up right kneecap, of course, a dislocation at the EUC back in Limerick, took her out of commission for a couple of weeks, but it's lovely to see her back on the field connecting with Nesanik. But Callahan County currently for JinX, they just escape. Von Stibert and Gerner at the back, real anchors of that German women's team that took the gold medal. But just being pinned into this space by the zone of this Gravity side. Gerner thinking about the hammer to open up the pitch. Pops that through to Enik. Of course, many of these players with the little dusting of gold on the cheekbones. But that's a little... The other is Federica Wagner. The shout from the sideline is recover. Gerner with the disc back in hands, a much more comfortable territory now. swinging it to and fro, and the hold of the zone. But Wagner sitting in the perfect space on the far sideline for that arcing flick. Giving and going now, getting Jasper involved. Von Stabert being pushed back. Von Stabert now going to race up line. And still Gravity hold the shape of the zone. Sibert now. Real patience from JinX. This is such a higher pass tally than for Gravity's opening offense. They're happy to swing around. On Stabert. To Anik. Flirts with the inside to open up the shot to Gerner. Has Jasper on the front cone, just about to hit it. Oh, a little bit of a moment. It's going to be a lead instead, and Lonnie Jasper clutches the first goal after quite a lot of passes there, Rachel.
Yeah, JinX also still starting with that calm offense, but really having to work for it. The ease with which we saw Gravity put their first point in was definitely not replicated in the second point. JinX staying calm, staying collected, as we've seen them do time and time and time again at all these different European tournaments that we've seen them play out over the years, but really having to put in a lot of work to get it down, to get it even out of their own end zone initially. Starting quite sort of stifled, really seemed like that sort of flowing, decisive offense that we're so used to seeing from them was just really not getting started. Of course, once they got it moving, we started to see that more, and then very, very conservative play on the end zone line. But I think that was absolutely the right choice. Gravity really doing a great job with that sort of poachy zone look to just hold the space and really try and make them move around a lot, and that very well executed in the end to not get frustrated and manage to kind of keep their calm, keep their cool until they found the good option. But yeah, I mean, in the first few points, we've seen one very easy offense and then one very stifling defense. So at the moment, Gravity really kind of setting the tone for how they want to play this game.
Well, immovable objects as unstoppable forces. I think the unstoppable force there had to be Frederica Wagner, though, pushing from the back. We saw JinX being a little bit static against zones. That's not static, although a snatch for Jess Chambers on the far sideline. Finds Kwon. Lots of leads up, just squeezing it through. Lundsman with that intel, of course, of German herself. Now feists one through, and again, it's another grab for Anya Gilhini. Getting goals rather than assists, unusual.
Well, Gravity working up the field fairly comfortably. I mean, we saw some pressure on one of those undercuts, but otherwise just finding the space, finding those upline passes. Both of the shots into the end zone have been under pressure and have been in quite tight areas, but you know, they back their players to make those, and they're confident to throw them. And as we see so far, when we're only 3 points into this game, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but so far, proven successful.
Well, I think probably from years past of watching Dublin play, or I think keep calling them just Dublin Gravity. We can just call them Gravity for short. But it's really a case of they love those kind of trust balls. They really back themselves. They back each other. The faith is there between teammates. And it's because sometimes they've had to play with quite short rosters at events. So they know each other really well. And certainly this is dreamy conditions for them. If anything, probably far too hot for their Irish skins, but very much a truly thrower's breeze, if anything. So perfect conditions to really be expansive if they need to, but at the moment, it's just throwing those leads up line. So perhaps we might see a change in the style of defense being played by JinX. Maybe go for some forced middle action to cut down those upline shots. But a bricked pull, our first of the game, will be trotted in by Gerner, who it's not the first time she's carrying a bit of an injury into a European Championship finals, because back in 2021, post-pandemic, she had a wrist brace on, having broken it. Oh, lovely piece for Wagner again. This time from the very get-go, JinX injecting plenty of pace to push forth against this Gravity zone. Von Stabert crashing through. Anik. High one for Gerner. Could slice through, but just takes the easy. Wagner palming it off. Von Stebert now. Solid giving and going. Could be desirable to have a little bit better spacing in the downfield space. Gerner, blady, knifey forehand, sets up a nice one. Wagner straight into the paws of the waiting Sara Jeklund. Or is that Herkins?
Hard to see from this vantage point. Sideline all sort of collecting around the action, but that JinX offense is really just sort of what we've seen from them time and time again. I always like to sort of say that they're fast but never rushed. They're really, really excellent at moving the disc quickly, hitting people in stride, releasing the disc almost without slowing, you know, getting the disc in their hands and out of their hands within a step or 2 steps. But the way that they release it is always just flawless. You know, it's not rushed, it's not kind of hurried, it's not got the pressure that kind of comes out bobbly like you see with some teams when they try and play that style of offense. They're really, really collected. And so even though they play quickly, they move the disc quickly, their skills and their ability to do that with the flawless execution is really, really sets them apart. And as we see there, they're also a team that aren't afraid to, you know, take on slightly more creative shots, taking overheads, taking on blades. And that's something we also know that we can expect from Gravity. So potential for this to be a really dynamic and interesting game is very high. And I think so far both sides coming out showing that they've got real class on offense. And as we said earlier, the real difference is going to be who can get those blocks and who can convert them.
Absolutely. Well, a whistle-clean game so far. Shout out to all of you in the live chat. Hello, Ian French. Of course, it's an Irish women's game. He is going to be watching this live stream. On the sidelines, it's Wall City, the fellow Berliners supporting the team in white. And of course, on the sidelines somewhere, Nikki Breen, who unfortunately took a bit of a knock in the last game and therefore isn't present for this all-important matchup against Gravity. Gilheeney shoots to the far sideline. Cleaner Doyle pops another reacher to exactly the same spot for Lundsman. Pick upfield will bring us back for a pause. A big reacher, but doesn't require the layout, but a violation upfield. We'll reel that one back, just as Anya Gilheeney reeled that disc in. 2 Gilheeneys for your money today, 59 and for Claire and Anya. But Lundsman with possession on the far side. Trying to press her in. Gilheeney now. Fendrich trying to stop it. And a jump into the end zone. There's going to be a little bit of discussion. Fenjugovic saying, not sure that one was good enough. Love the ambition.
Crouching photographer gave some guidance on whether that was in or not. Slightly reluctantly accepted, but accepted. And that will be a score. Another clean hold.
Well, we may get a chance to watch that one back, but it looked pretty good in live action to me.
Just a little pop to reset. And a beautiful up the line strike. Definitely jumped, left the ground before catching the disc and caught the disc in the end zone. It can sometimes be hard to know, particularly when you're marking that person, if they had indeed left the floor before they made the catch. We've seen more than a few times someone very excitedly trying to make sure they get the score, catch it and then jump it in, but not the case in this instance. But always just worth double checking if you aren't sure on field.
Indeed. And for those of you who may be newer to the sport and looking to take inspiration from the scenes here at the European Championship level, always focus on the catch, because many a time we've seen people trying to be into the end zone, maybe panicking, thinking, oh, I'm not sure my throws are the best, maybe I need to get it, but or just maybe just getting a little bit hasty. It always looks a little bit silly when you've gone for the leap of faith and then you just spoon the disc.
Yeah, but The allure of the stat sheet is strong. But this is no time to mess about. This is the European Championships, and these teams cannot afford to gift a turnover.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's no gift to JinX. An absolutely sensational pull right into the back section of the end zone. Fielded well. So not quite the rundown to match the big arms. But that's going to be a drop. A low catch. Federica Wagner thought she'd caught up with the legs. But that one just knocks off her knee.
She seemed shocked that that one wasn't in her hand.
Well, there's the gift.
There's the gift. It's an exceptionally short field for Gravity.
Well, this is going to have to be quite the defensive stand. The first error of the game and a golden opportunity for Gravity. Looking for Pugh, just jinking back and forth. Now they reset. Farnan puts one out. It's a lead. Oh, but it's going to be kept. And back in the hands of JinX. Wagner makes up for her earlier error with a great read and a quick reaction, because a lesser player might have got caught up in the mixer there, but she holds the position well. Gerner. All the way across to Von Steyboot. You can't understate how little this win will impact the game. Flora Scala. Through Wagner with the connection. It's low, but it's absolutely fine. Lonnie Jasper with another goal on the board. And that will take us to 3 apiece. All trading, all on serve, but a little moment there where it could have gone a certain direction.
Yeah, a bit of an emphatic response from JinX after getting that turn back. They just absolutely ran away with it, used that momentum, used their legs, used their precision throws while moving to just make sure that Gravity never really had a chance to set up their defense on them as they got that turn back. But yeah, we've seen it gifted, and then we saw some really, really intense end zone defense to shut that down. We can hear the Wall City boys supporting their fellow Berliners, supporting them through that, cheering for them, and ultimately between the kind of the energy on the sideline, the focus on the field, they managed to get that turn back. And so not a clean hold, the first mistake of the game, but still a game of holds.
Absolutely, that will do well enough. Wagner making up for her earlier mistake. Meliger with a big old pull. Doesn't quite reach as deep as Gravity's does, but they managed to set up and almost put pressure on that first centering throw. Gilheeney, scuba to Chambers, the connection we've seen so many, many times. Now it's an easy one. Lunsman on the far side, receiving from Doyle. Oh, a little bit of a piece on it, but the scoop underneath. What's she going to serve up on the ice cream cone now? Gilheeney, kind of a postman, delivering whenever Gravity asks her to. But that is fantastic hand, the defense, the pressure from Rosa Herkins, the sky ball from Gilheeney, and that one won't come good. Well, full stretch field, but our second break opportunity of the match.
I'm not sure what the kind of the full intention there was, but that definitely seemed to come out way, way, way too high. Gave so much time and shape that really wasn't a good sort of play on it.
Well, I do think they had Chambers trotting off towards the end zone. It's a difficult one to turn down, as is that streaking form of Sari Eklund. Oh, she makes the play, but comes up empty-handed. A great run away from Jen Kwan, who manages to catch up in the late stages, but a nice idea and a full stretch required for Gravity in response.
Yeah, all the component parts were there, but didn't quite come together. Great bid from Sarah Eklund. We've seen her make that so many times, but just today was not her day. Well, that wasn't her moment. We'll see what else she's got in the rest of the game.
Of course, Sari Eklund's been a household name for the best part of a decade at this point, if not longer. Gold medalist from the Indoor Championships last season. No Swedish team, no Valkyria here at this women's division for 2023, so picked up by JinX the full series long. Another scuba from Gilheeney requires a hero redemption from Cleaner Doyle. Got the mop out. Has a think about it. Throws into the well free, and Issa Smith rips the big backhand against the breeze. Lundsman underneath it, but it's going to be a bat away, the big wingspan. Another block for Greta Melliger in the books.
Really well read from Melliger, and well positioned, sort of cleanly getting that inside line, making sure that she has the first line to the disc. Not going to be challenged on it. A very scrappy offense from Gravity, but sort of figuring it out, working it through. Not able to make that last pass, but doing a great job to kind of reset the disc under a huge amount of pressure from JinX. Saw some scubas and some interesting lefty throws just to get the disc moving, and now back to JinX though.
Well, a bit of traffic causing a high stall reset. Govic is there though. Yeklin rips a backhand of her own, same third throw. Is it going to reach it? Oh my good golly, it is! What a throw from Sarah Yeklin. Marie Muckstein underneath it.
That was such a dynamite option. The throw, as you said, was same third throw, but even sort of maybe same meter from the sideline. That was such a tight window. I feel like most coaches at your trainings will tell you not to take those options on. They're too hard. You know, it's not the ideal amount of kind of wiggle room for any errors. But when you're a team like this, with throws like that, with cuts that decisive, take it on all day.
I think the big difference maker for me, if we're being critical here of same third choices, is just the level with which Marie Muckstein was completely miles open. Because if you're Yeklin, as long as you've got enough curvature on it, as long as there's enough roll curve to make sure it lands inbounds, you're basically allowing Muckstein to do whatever she needs to adjust and collect that throw. So first break, oh, was that a hold? My stats aren't updating. I've lost my internet. It is indeed. My instinct is correct. The first break of the game, 4-3 for JinX. So Gravity coming out on offense in response to that break. Much cleaner this time for Doyle. The puns are endless. I will abuse them. Back to Gilheeney. Thinks about it, but holsters. It's Linehan instead. To Chambers. Chambers. Stall count starting to rise. Casual toss in front of Lundsman. Schultz around. Oh, that's shapely and it's beautiful, but it's taken away by Frederike Wagner. Tell you what, Rika Wagner is really doing damage in this game. She is here to play, Doug.
Yeah, just understanding the flow of the game and seeing what's gonna transpire, positioning yourself so excellently.
There is a gift, though. It bobbles off the hand of Flora Scala directly into the lap. And that's a beautiful backhand round break. The gardening gloves of Kwan deliver a peach for Chambers.
It does seem so far that JinX have had really smart, really intense defense, but they're just looking a little bit off kilter on their offense. Like these execution errors, that pass that might have been sort of into the hands and slightly off of the fingers, therefore a possible catch, but even so, it was sort of right into the front of the stack. There's a lot of traffic in that area. It does seem like JinX, who usually really pride themselves on having this very kind of flawless and really well-weighted, really smart offense that just takes its time and executes well. So far this game, it's just seemed a bit off kilter, a bit unable to connect in the way that it usually would. And because of their skills and their experience, they've been able to work through it so far. But if they are going to be getting those turns and wanting to maximize them, they can't be shaky for the first few passes and wait until they get into stride. They really need to be striking hard from the turn and punishing any of these gravity mistakes.
Well, they are phaseable, is this JinX side. We saw them at the Elite Invite playing against a lot of zone, a lot of really high wind conditions, and I think that's indeed perhaps a little bit of a thing they've struggled with, is that kind of getting the spark started, kind of, you know, turning the gas on and igniting the flame. Once it's on, it's really on. Herkens looking for options. Givic. Herkens and Melliger. Now Jeklund is available for the give-go. Thinks about it. There's some tempting options on the soft side of the pitch against this gravity zone. But they keep the legs doing the hard work, allowing the throws to be much easier. Back to Givic now. Lovely piece of vision on the far sideline. Just turns on the jets. Sophie Rumpelt, one of the other gold medalists. Oh, and that's a one from Hannah Schrempf, but just confuses Berman behind.
Yeah, if it looks like it's going to be received by your teammate in front of you, easy to sort of not expect it to then go over their head and have to try and make that last minute adjustment. That's often the challenge of having two people cutting into the same space, is just sort of could put each other off. Didn't seem like that was poorly executed. That could have been caught by either of them.
Yeah, a really nicely placed disc. But that is a huge run-through snatch. Fenjakovic knows exactly how far she is. Perfectly timed, no collision, thank goodness. That could have got kind of nasty with that poach off, but she makes it in plenty of time. Now Berman on the far side, or centre actually, into Rumpelt under coverage. Back to Givic. Oh, that one out a piece of string for Melliger, and the secondary option in the end zone is there. An easy goal eventually for Rosa Herkens after that earlier miss.
That defense from Gerwich, just unbelievable. We've already said that JinX are sort of really great at reading the play and understanding where it's going to go. But I think the other part of that, and maybe this also is kind of speaking to why they're also happy to take on those sort of narrower window long shots, is they just are really aware of their own like speed and ability. And I think being so clear on sort of like what you're able to do and what your limits are mean that you know when you can go in and make those plays. That was a really tight defense. We see there the pass into the end zone for the score, but earlier on just reading the play so well, being able to know that you can make that play and make it cleanly and safely, because as you say, it was a close one, but it really just speaks to the kind of the fact that this team they have a very fairly consistent roster. They're very Berlin based and proud of it. You know, oftentimes not seeking to get external pickups, and would rather go to a tournament with fewer players, but have that chemistry and have that experience with each other. And you just see times like that. I mean, the fitness of these players, the skills of these players are just phenomenal, but also the understanding of both their own ability and the ability of their teammates, how fast they can go, how far they need to throw it. It's just, yeah, it's just seeing all the kind of bits click together into this beautiful, beautiful play.
Well, Givic, another of those EUC players. In fact, this JinX roster is dusted with, you know, European title winners from this very season. But Givic actually picked up a lot of experience playing in Spain, even though she's of North German origin. But a cheeky offhand backhand from Chambers, a pick after the throw, nearly a little bit of an error there. Cleaner Doyle echoing the signal and then being like, oh wait, hold on, no, definitely got to catch this still.
Yeah, and then a little bit of eye contact of like, whoop, we could have really messed up there. little smile as she recognises that could have gone very poorly, but good awareness.
Absolutely, she's got the marigolds on always. That's Cleaner Doyle. Rubber glove type catching abilities. Doesn't need any extra help from actual gloves, but she's going to need a help in the form of a resetting cut. Lovely high release, plenty of touch on it to allow the rundown from a Lundsman. Now Chambers. Pops through back to Doyle. Lundsman trying to attack. Oh, nearly the pick-off from Wagner. Oh, and that's a quick bit of offense in the last couple of minutes. Jane Linehan with the goal. And that will put another on the board. They are trading down at the moment. Our Dublin Gravity started the game on offense, but conceding that break to JinX. And this is quite the matchup we have on our hands.
Gravity having to play quite creatively. The JinX defense is definitely kind of shutting down a lot of their initial movements, a lot of their initial looks. But again, this is a side that have done that. They know how to find the space. They've played together a lot. And they're not afraid to take on the maybe slightly more interesting, slightly more spicy options. As we see there, just happy to put it over, you know, if there's a bit of mess in front of the disc, happy to see, okay, someone's moving into that space on the far side and putting a nice rolling curve up into that space, even if it is going over the heads of some of the other players. It's well executed and well within their abilities to deliver that. And even sort of some of what seems like some of the, what might look to be some of the simpler shots are actually just being so well executed. We saw Doyle with a really beautiful inside dish right through sort of, maybe like there's 1 or 2 meters space that meant that she was able to kind of really exploit that. And she's just a high release IO backhand into that middle space, really opens up the field. It's just so well executed. It's really beautiful to see.
So another bricked pole. GRUT getting us started, finding Herkens. Of course, one of the pair of Herkens that are dominating for German Ultimate. Back to GRUT. Herkens up line. We can see how tight the defense was there. Now to Berman. A little bit more acreage. Oh, there's plenty of room for Rosa Herkens on the far sideline. Love the power plat, love the visor. Now Rumpelt. Back to Herkens. And Rumpelt. Back to Herkens. Oh, nearly escapes that one. Oda Homlong. A real agile athlete, almost feline in nature, snakes her way backwards and makes the catch just about hanging on.
That has to be some muscle memory, some greater power there. Like, to be able to be moving in that direction, have it go almost your full arm's width behind you, and yet still, by the skin of your fingertips, come down with it. Really, really phenomenal. And again, something that I guess you build up when you play time and time again. You've caught every which way. Your hands can do the catching before your brain really has to engage, but just such a great effort to come down with that. Looked like that might have been a slightly riskier decision that needed to be made, but back your receivers, right?
Absolutely. Well, we know that Homlong is an amazing receiver in the early stages of the season because, of course, you mentioned it already, Rachel, that the kind of JinX outfit is a real staunch, no, we only take Berliners. You have to be cool like us to come and play with us. And certainly the Swedes have had to come across from the very early stages of the season where they weren't quite as well weaved in. Certainly not as well as these power plats or braids, because some people don't know them as plats. That's a bit of British jargon for you. But it's nice to see Homlund and Jeklund largely playing D points, but still coming into the fold here nicely, because the Berliners had a little bit of a divide this year. JinX deciding to take things quite seriously and allowing some of their former counterparts to play amongst each other elsewhere in Berlin. But it's all the focus on Gravity now, reaching centre field with relative ease. Of course, Gilhini happy to stay in that scuba grip for a long old while. Doesn't even look at Chambers on the near side, just focusing on the little gainers. Now has a little look over the shoulder. And so Lundsman swinging across. And then back. Nice and easy does it. Plenty of time. Because we know for sure Gravity have played against zone at trainings many, many a time, as well as at the All-Ireland Championships, which happened not too long ago. In the core of match, I believe Flame getting their first ever All-Ireland Championship. Of course, missing a couple of personnel versus their EUCF West roster. Doyle now flirts with the inside, but has the streaking form of Gilhini. Now looking to make moves. It's going to be a break side shot. Hammer over the pack. Oh, and just about holding on. Anissa Smith with the goal for Gravity. That one comes all the way down to earth.
It's so hard to play a good zone against Gravity. They're a team that, you know, you can put the perfect cup on. It's so stifling. You're well positioned. Like, you'd look downfield and they shouldn't have any options, but they're so confident taking some of these aggressive overheads. They've got such strong receivers. You know, what another team might be like a 50-50 shot. For them, it's not. It's been drilled. It's been practiced. As we see there, that over the head into the end zone, it was, you know, there's a bit of traffic underneath it, but they just always know that their players are going to be perfectly positioned to receive it. And so it's quite disheartening. I've been there myself playing a zone against Gravity, because they can cut through it in a way that most teams are maybe a little bit more hesitant to do, which is, you know, move it around, find the traditional breaks if they are there, the holes in the zone. But if they're not, they'll just slice you overhead and then get through it that way.
That scoring possession, though, I think in the last moment, not quite how they normally drill it, because it was reminiscent of a flock of flamingos, all just flying over to one side. Obviously, these hot pink shirts of the flamingo shirts literally are just off of our camera views. Some of the time, you might be able to catch the fetching designs of 3SB on the pitch one over behind this game. But yeah, a big old cluster of players, but that one falls perfectly into the lap of Anissa Smith, and it will do. It doesn't have to look the prettiest, it just has to be effective. Locked up here at 6s, but JinX with the break, eyeing up a potential Galaxy point. Hormlong on the underneath, with an easy one for Strength. Herkens into Hormlong again. Well, I say she's been playing a lot of defense points. I think they're just rotating through. Yeklund now, but this is the Swede line. Thumpelt gunning underneath to Berman. Of course, the dashing Necky. Low but fine. Oh, and what a beautiful pass into the lead space for Rosa Herkens. The shapeliness of that throw off the paws of Sada Yeklund. Find you an athlete who can do both, Rachel.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful offense from JinX. I do think, though, the difference at the beginning of that point was that the pull was slightly shallower than we've seen. We've seen some beautiful deep pulls from Gravity, and we also saw one that was bricked. But both on the deep pulls, they sit really nicely, and the defense is able to get down there and get set really quickly. Similarly, for a bricked pull, the defense is able to get set. That one was slightly shorter, and it meant that actually Gravity weren't able to put the pressure on from that first pass in the same way they have been in the previous points, and JinX were actually able to get that offense flowing, as we've seen them kind of struggle to do in some of the previous points. So I think there is a kind of an element there. We talk about how important the pull is, and Gravity really, I think, demonstrating that what a good pull followed up by really tight rundown zone can do.
Well, we'll take a short break with a timeout here on the field with Gravity just behind JinX. Who's going to take the first half? Let's find out in a few minutes.
Wait. Isn't this for the other apparel? We've got like new stuff, right? Bring it. No, bring it. Feast your eyes on the new fan version of our iconic ULTI.TV sweatshirts. Great fan gear available for you. Check out our new range of colors and insist on staying warm and looking fresh. Shipping is available after EUCF. Get your fan gear and be one of us.
Anna Gurner using the disc for shade. readying herself for the pool, trying to cool down as this game is getting very hot indeed. 7-6 for JinX. They lead by 1 break of score. So if they can punch this one in here, it will really be Gravity feeling the burn, even though they are quite a while away from the midday sun, that burn zone between 11 and 2 p.m. Kwan on the far sideline. She's got her gardening gloves off. On even. But it's the hands of Frederica Wagner. An uncontested, accepted foul call on the far sideline, but that was a big old bosh.
That was brutal.
Well, Wagner having game of the day, I think. Kwan, still count starting to rise, puts it low and directly into the reaching hand of Sarah Yeklund. Gerner with the launch is going to require the rundown and the drop. Well, commentators curse, mate. Frederica Wagner having a game, but she's going to get it back, I'm sure. It's the second drop for her.
Yeah, just bounced out again. Both times it looked like she thought she'd already caught it, and was very surprised when it was no longer in her hand. Look of disbelief there as that one just gets sort of punted out the side of the end zone.
Falcon punch. But to be fair, to her credit, she did also continue running and thought about making a secondary effort, I'm sure. But this time it's Gilheeney throwing in near. Callahan, Govic seeking an option, pops back to Scala. I believe an Austrian by birthright. Oh, but that's a lovely pass. Ora Honglong with the tippy toes just to make sure it stays well in bounds. Von Stebuk with the assist, and that is the break. Taking half, 8-6. JinX out here doing damage.
That point really seemed to be JinX's point. Gravity not able to get in it. That stifling defense, limiting options, and then the really kind of smart positioning to intercept, just not really giving them a chance. And although JinX gave it back, able to get it back and ultimately work it in, not getting rushed, not getting too end zone trigger happy, just finding the right option, hitting those resets, and taking half, 8-6.
Well, to quote Ian French in the live chat, this game is indeed so intense. We will take a break to cool ourselves off. Grab yourself a refreshment though, folks. We'll be back with the second half after these brief messages.
Have you seen our VO streams? Do you know that VO cameras are built for more tactical team sport analysis? The inbuilt tracking technology allows you to see the game in finer detail. That's why teams are already using it, and ULTI.TV and EUF are teaming up to help you join VO. Contact EUF administration to get more details.
Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Half-time here as JinX currently leading 8-6. We got a lovely shot there of Nemo on his bicycle, of course. Felix Nemec, the Austrian in charge of all the events here, the events manager for the European Ultimate Federation. Massive thank you to all of our volunteers, all of our EUF folks. Odi, Andrea Falan, Mr. Presidente himself. Even though for some people, that would be a female matching athlete surname for the first name even. Andrea Furlan. And to give you an update from the sideline, very important sideline information, Emily Berman is now wearing 2 hats. 2 hats, Emily Berman. Just a real good look. So, second half few moments away. Gravity starting out on defense, so really needing to snag themselves a break here, or they're going to see their opponents charge far into the distance, because 8-6 is doable against the way JinX are currently playing, but 9-6 is going to be a bit of a shot across the bows. A bouncing pull, though, gives the defense a moment to catch up. Big old sag off into the lanes. Sort of a zone. I think a zone with maybe a bit of assassination on Anna Gerner, or maybe just some intelligent, switchy, saggy defense up front, which seems to be the affair. Anik popping through to Gerner. Just flat movement across the back. This is very reminiscent of the last time, well, first time, sorry, we saw the zone coming out for Gravity. Just easy lateral movement for JinX, but it's taking a long old time. But it doesn't matter how many throws you have to throw, as long as you retain possession, it's all fine. Shot in the middle for Libert. Of course, nice to have her back on the field. World Games athlete from last season. That Germany team that shocked everyone. Von Stebert now. Libert. Solid moving. Just noshing up these yards. That one a little bit more difficulty rating for Gerner. But the focused attention is definitely there. As JinX eyeing up the top position in this pool. Having, of course, had a big old defeat of their, well, big old victory, I should say, against the opponents of Jet Set Love this morning. Breakfast bagel to start us off here. On Stebert. Oh, that's an ambitious pop to the back cone, and it's just going to flopper off the hands after such calm, controlled offense. She gets a little bit overexcited, and it's a full stretch for Gravity, but this is a moment.
Yeah, interesting decision making. They've worked so hard to work it up, so calm, so patient, working around the Gravity zone, and then to sort of force it, try and jam it down that sideline is just, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't gel with the rest of the strategy and the point, and ultimately it was far too ambitious. Asked a lot of the receiver and giving it straight back to, well, giving it to Gravity for the opportunity for a break.
Yeah, up until that point, the synchronicity really was there, but it's a high shot, chuck it in hope. Underneath it, what a fantastic run down that was. The Nesibet pops one in towards the front comb, just shy. This for the break. Kate Daly with the assist and the head spike celebration from Claire Gilheeney. Well, at long last, that zone pays a little bit of dividends. It's not the biggest payout in the world, but it'll do a break to start the second half for Gravity. They are very much back in this game.
Stunning long shot received there by Claire Pugh. Really just beautiful, able to kind of sit out in front of her. She's able to run onto it, attack it, and then these last two passes, both of which, unclear if they're actually sort of full push passes or just little tosses, but either way, under so much pressure from JinX defense, but both times just confidently sat out right into the path of the offensive cut, and both times brought down confidently, just able to sort of work it in tight margins under a lot of pressure.
I'm going to correct you, but only because I want to give you the right credit. So that massive reaching pass was run down by Linus Seibert, but it was thrown by Claire Pugh.
Excuse me, there we go.
But it's all right. We just want to give the right credit to the right folks.
Saw the number on the replay and got a little bit overexcited. But yeah, either way, beautiful work.
It's easily done. If I have one thing I would throw acres of shade on, not that you can throw acres of shade on anything. Maybe you can. I suppose it is a physical thing as well as like throwing shade in terms of besmirching a reputation. I love the look of Gravity's kit. I hate the font. Hate the font. It's very confusing. It's at a weird angle. It is at least visible, but just one criticism.
Hanny coming in hot with her opinion, sitting right next to a lot of the Gravity sideline who are...
Oh, they know I love them. Even though their coaches are standing directly in front of our booth constantly and blocking our view. So all the way off to the races go JinX, eating up the pitch. Holmlung popping back to Herkens. Inside to Melliger. Now Rumpelt. Oh, and just the snatch in the last gasp for Greta Melliger. And that will do for a hold, re-steadying the ship and re-punching the lead. 9-7 the scorecard. 2 breaks to 1 in favour of JinX.
Yeah, I really wasn't sure who that one was to. And then you just see Melliger's hand flash out, casually coming down with it, saving what might have been a little bit of miscommunication. Hard to see from this angle. But either way, JinX just calmly working it in. I do think, I mean, the scoreline, as you said, it's now 9-7. This is a tricky moment for Gravity. They really need to sort of make a decision about how they want to proceed in this game, because JinX are not the kind of team that you're going to really be able to come back from a significant deficit on. And at the moment, Gravity just sort of, you know, that point was scored. They recognize they've been scored on. It's a hold. It is what it is. But as they're sort of walking onto the field, it just feels a bit flat. Maybe some of that energy that we saw from them in the first half, and particularly in those early points, maybe just sort of escaping them a bit in these moments. But now is when they need it the most. They really got to be able to amp themselves up and make sure that if they're on the sideline or on the field, they're putting in the energy, putting in the effort, because they're in a little bit of a ditch. It's not insurmountable, but it's going to be tough, and they need to make sure they're ready for it if they want to get back into the opportunity of winning this game.
Well, good thing for Gravity that even though they're currently sitting in a little bit of a ditch, although that is not the great one, Claudia Keeley with a little bit of a swing and a miss there. But they do have some earthworks type mechanists amongst the pack. They can indeed reshape the field around them. But Gernert popping back to Von Stebut, a little bit switching off. Chambers just trying to take the mark as much as possible using that big wingspan that she has, but Gernert up line. Softly, gently, swinging all the way across. Jasper now, oh, there's beautiful curvature on that one. Perfectly poised, and Wagner underneath it. That was a beautiful backhand throw, Rachel. Absolute peach.
It was lovely. I was a bit concerned about the hang time for a second, and we saw a pink shirt streaking over there, determined to recover the blown coverage. But yeah, well set up and really well received for, again, just sort of, it seems calmly worked in. Nothing too challenging there for JinX to figure out. Definitely lots of pressure from Gravity on defense, but just not sort of seeming to disrupt them significantly.
Well, Frederica Wagner is a bit of a giving and taking away athlete in this JinX side, currently residing in Berlin, but originally from Göttingen, back in Germany. And she actually represented GRUT squad, was an alternate for that Germany World Games last year, but brings that experience, and of course formerly also of the German team that didn't make it here. They got knocked out by Heidi's, that have picked up some of the Seagulls players at the European Championship level. But Wagner, formerly of Seagulls Hamburg, until 2018. So Gravity, the pull being affected by Gravity and falling to earth, as we very much expect it, but expect the unexpected as this second half continues to charge forth. Linehan underneath. Gilheeney trying to make moves. Slinks back under, nearly gets caught up in a little bit of traffic. Close cutting from Keeley. Berman nearly sneaking away, opens up the window though of opportunity, and that is an absolute beaut. Another really sensational backhand in this matchup. This time it's Gravity sending it to the soft side of the field. Break side shot for goal.
And finding that space, finding that option, not getting too bogged down, trying to work it up the far sideline and sort of playing the small ball still always looking for those more expansive options, and that's really the kind of the dynamism that they're going to need to make sure they maintain in their game. We know it's something we talked about a lot earlier on, and we know it's something that's a really big staple of theirs, and we've seen their energy drop a little bit, but it's definitely something for, particularly if they're going to keep making their offensive holds, and then what we need to see is when they get those turns on defense, we can see some of those same dynamics that mean they can start putting them in and getting those breaks back.
Well, the rangy frame of Linehan reeling in another goal here. 10-8 the current score, but JinX still 2 breaks to the better of Gravity. It's been a better second half for the Dublin outfit. But there's still, of course, plenty of time in this championship. We were expecting Gravity to get themselves into at least a pre-quarter-final matchup. JinX, of course, just had a bit of more of a full flush season in terms of appearances. But certainly both teams well deserve to be at this European Ultimate Championship finals level. So centering pass to Gerner, quickly moving to Van Steebucht. Has the galloping Simona Liebert just working behind that cup. Got a big old frame, easy to just pop one over the top if they need to. Hot pressure though. Liebert now coming underneath. Has Jasper behind, chooses the conservatism. Ooh, that one nearly escapes and just about, oh, that could have been a clean catch, and the hat falls off of Nesanik, and a short field gifted to Gravity. Gilheeney picking us up. Also a member of the Power Plat squad. I just love the look so much. Seibert at the back, high released for Pugh. Oh, and that's an easy dish over the shoulder. Claire Gilheeney with a second goal for the game, and that is the break in response from Dublin Gravity. That's 2 runs of 2 apiece.
Well, yeah, I said they needed to find the energy, and what's interesting is that it turns out getting a break is what seems to have given them energy, which seems a little bit backwards, but whatever works for you. Normally it's getting the energy will get your team the breaks, but for Gravity we see them streaking on to celebrate that one in sort of more energy than we've seen from them so far, particularly in the second half.
More passion, more footwork, more energy. I think the big difference is indeed that little bit of aggressiveness coming in from the defense. Certainly the exploitation of the break side in the previous hold for Gravity was off the back of some very ambitious sort of trying to get the run through D and then sacrificing the first couple of seconds of stall count on the force for Emily Berman. But that one was just a case of a little bit too much zest on the throw. Perhaps the consistent use of the zone to make the handlers have to throw lots of focused passes is starting to mentally tire rather than physically tire this Berlin squad.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of the intention of it. From what it looks like, they're playing a zone by the handlers and person matching downfield. And the idea behind that is to really frustrate. You know, you look downfield and you see your players covered, and then you sort of look around you and you've got poached off people in the lanes, and here we go again. That's an overthrow.
Well, indeed, perhaps a little bit of a T word, a little bit of tiredness creeping into those brains. And another really short field here as Linnea Seibert will pop that one into action. Gilheeney trying to squeeze her way through. She's going to have loads of room, but there's a pack behind it. How on earth does Rimani catch that goal? Oh my goodness, that is scandalous, and it will put us nearly back on serve here. In fact, no, that's 3 breaks apiece.
That's tied back up at 10s. Gravity digging themselves out of the hole that we just moments ago were questioning whether they had the willpower and the energy and the focus to do, and they've done it made quick work of those last 2 points. And now we see JinX doing a slightly sort of down-headed, like low, slow walk back to their side, their end zone line. They're the ones now who've sort of had the momentum kind of taken out from underneath them. Gravity are buzzing, and plays like that, catches like that from Kruber Suleimani, just unbelievable to bring that down under so much pressure. Again, was it the right option? Was it the safest option? Probably not. I don't think anyone's going to be teaching you, saying like, hey, when you see this, definitely hit that throw. But again, you know, when you have your players, when you're able to come down with it, Just incredible play and really building the momentum for Gravity.
Well,
now it's JinX. What are they going to answer?
It was just straight back up. That was 100% I'm going to go with. I'm going to put my money on that was supposed to be for Claire Killaney sticking up line. She had the space, but it's the pack coming in, closing in, plenty of defenders. Suleimani just at the last minute being like, no, that's mine. And a clutch grab to put us back on even Stevens. JinX, though, with that little bit of advantage, of course, having broken first, and after the half, they get themselves a bit of space. So Jasper into the path of Wagner. You can see how clustered around the disc JinX currently are. Of course, mindful they need to make those passes as easy as possible. Now Libet coming back from the deep space to Scala. Has Jasper the tempting target on the far side, just keeping the deep busy. Gerner. We know plenty of the other athletes. They're at peak physical fitness. Just need to work a little bit better with the spacing to truly split that cup of the zone. Sophie Farnan having her job made a little bit easy there, not having to pick one or t'other. Nice inside backhand, finding Scarlett. Now a Nick. There we go, there's the lateral flow. And despite the compression of the field, again, Gravity staying in the zone set. Wagner crashing through. Back to Nesanik. Oh, but there's the hand block high popping up. That's a fantastic play. Aisling Naylor nailing the disc to the floor.
Yeah, well read. Maybe not quite enough shape to really comfortably and sort of safely get around her. Great presence of mind just to pop those hands in the air and rewarded with a D.
Well, it's an immediate ripper, a high release flick that's going to have Pugh underneath it. She doesn't make the layout play. Now that is a missed opportunity because it looked from this angle like she had the space to make it.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad look, but it just felt like this sort of didn't quite come together. Cutter perhaps needed a few more seconds to get downfield before that specific throw was going to come out. Now just gifted straight back to Gravity.
Yeah, she's got to hold it for an extra half a heartbeat, especially on this downwind side. It is a thrower's breeze, very, very gentle, but it is still directionally in that way. Scuba from Gerner. Shooting against this gentle breeze, but seeking options. Wagner now. Again, real compression of the field. Oh, nearly the takeaway. That was very, very close to the hands of Beth Quinsonberry. But what a save for Flora Scala. Hitting the deck, just making sure, and off she pops through. Has Von Steenbut and Siebert underneath. Great communication from the sidelines. Give us the over-under on how much voice the coach is going to have left at the end of this week. Oh, 3-day long weekend. Jasper now. Goes for the lateral move through the cup. Gerner. Perhaps the legs starting to tire a little bit. A minimum pause. And back into action. Wagner trying to play the chess game against the zone. Nesanik, a little bit of a bump for Scarlett. And there it goes, posted through the letterbox, just about the squeezy, squeaky hole. And that will be 11-10. Or was that a turnover?
Yeah. That was.
Oh, it was Gravity celebrating. That's why I got confused.
It seemed
and a
like
timeout.
It seemed like it was in the pocket, but just last minute the hand came in and popped that one away. It wasn't quite far enough in front, but we see again that phenomenal save from Scala.
Oh, look at us getting finnied. Getting a little bit finnied there. Tomorrow we'll try and get a tape to keep these athletes out of our camera views, but that will be a timeout called on the field. So a break opportunity here for Gravity. 3 on the charge. Can they make it 4? We'll find out in a few minutes.
He's in a great spot. He's in a perfect spot. Yes, his massive head has blocked everything. That was a huge play, but we have seen none of it. Finny, he's done it.
Second half coming in off the timeout, and things are getting real tasty here. Women's division action for you, Pool A. And it is spicy. Both teams having cruised through so far, neck and neck. This to make it 4 on a run for Dublin Gravity. They conceded those 2 breaks of score in the first half, but the minds of JinX perhaps starting to have a little bit of fatigue.
Yeah, this game is to top the pool, and so both teams so invested. It's really been a phenomenal game so far.
And what does it mean, Rachel, if you get the top spot in the pool? You get a bye straight into the 1-8 bracket. Oh, what a snatch that was. High in the sky for Kate Daly. Pops back to Pugh. He's got even numbered gloves. She launches it. A pack of white shirts, and Simona Libert goes high and smacks it down. Kate Daly couldn't do anything about that one. Big old height mismatch, but what a truss bomb.
I'm not sure why that was the only sort of option that seemed to be being considered there. There were 3 JinX players in that space. That really needed to be a fake and a dump. That's again, you know, for at this point of the game, it's 10-10. That was for the opportunity to break to take the lead. You've really got to treasure it. You've got to cherish that possession and make sure you're not sort of forcing things. And I didn't see a good option downfield there. So I'm sure Gravity will be disappointed to have given it back.
Well, they do like to play that ballsy style of offense when it's required. And it soft scuba over to Simona Libert on that far sideline. But again, a relatively compressed field, making the job of the zone that much easier with a bit of confusion. This is very similar to what we saw from JinX at the elite invite stage, but that's a little bit of a hope there. Gerner, oh, has Jasper completely isolated well behind the 2 deeps. Pugh and Seibert working together. That one narrowly escaping the paws of Claire Gilheany, but this is much more like it. Wagner going almost every other. Now to Von Stebrut. Pops back to Gerner. This one to stop the flow of breaks and keep the advantage trading up. Casual one-hand grab. Libert now far side. Galloping through. Von Stebrut. Back to Libert. Gerner. Has Nesanik. This is plenty of time left on the game clock. Wagner. Scuba to open up the far corner, and it works perfectly. A little push pass celebration from Simona Libert, and that is more like it at long last. JinX put a hold on the board to stem the flow of breaks that Dublin Gravity were trying to cruise through to the end of this game. Just shy of 10 minutes of the 80 cap remaining, and we are at 11-10 for JinX.
We've seen it before in the last few points, particularly on some of these gravity breaks. JinX working it up so well and then really getting stuck outside this end zone. The gravity zone seems to be very effective, both at the one end of the field, a little bit less effective in the middle where they've managed to make some quite quick work of it, and then quite effective again on their own end zone line. And JinX just not letting themselves get caught in that trap again, not letting themselves just keep working it around and not finding opportunities. But this time, the slightly more interesting shot into the end zone was better weighted. It was to someone who was really open and in space, and just meant that it was maybe a little bit more interesting, a little bit more creative, but safe in a way that perhaps in previous iterations of similar play, they've been a bit too punchy. That one felt like they'd learnt the lesson, but also weren't going to just keep getting bogged down by playing too conservatively outside that end zone.
Well, Simona Liebert just pops her head above the ramparts to try and join Rosa Herkens at the top of the stats board. Herkens with 3 goals and 2 assists so far, but an out-of-bounds pull, ideal. Not quite a full gift, but Gilheeney will be happy with that one. Nice central position against some sagging handler defense. Not complete respect given. Chambers deciding not to just run off to the deep space despite having Holmlund matching her underneath. But I like that match-up. They swing all the way across. Gilheeney looking for options, just pops back to Lundsman. Of course, 2 Germans on this Dublin side, so we see Jeklund trying to get a little bit hungry for blocks against Linehan. Now Lundsman looking directly into the late afternoon sun. Stall count must have been about 8.5 there. Squeezes it through to Gilheeney. Solid switching from the handler matchups for JinX. Buxton now. Chambers underneath. Oh, but there's the sneak through. Emily Berman, we saw get a little bit undone by going for an attacking pass. Givic now through to Meliga. Back to Givic. Now Mückstein. This is really solid patience again from JinX, but well, I say that there wasn't enough roll curve shape on that one from Greta Meliga. You can see the frustration immediately. She knows that wasn't quite the release she wanted, and an opportunity for Gravity to hold on here after that run-through block for Emily Berman.
Yeah, you can see that pure frustration on that release. She knew that wasn't right, that wasn't what she'd intended, and that wasn't going to get the job done. Gravity back with the disc, but in that far corner.
Well, solid matching from Givic. I think perhaps a contact call. Foul accepted. Opportunity being taken by Givic to try and pin Gilheeney to that far sideline. You're going to have a difficult job of that, though. She's got every throw going. But can she escape from what you might call coffin corner in higher wind stages? It's going to be a shot up the line to try and hit Doyle. A big old pack of people. It might be a call coming out of that one, but nope. Just too much of a hospital pass on a high stall from Gilheeney, but she at least gets the yards.
Hard to make a call when it's just a melee of different people.
Yeah, friendly fire, unfriendly fire. It's all happening over that far sideline. Jeklund now. Casual dish back to Givic. That one just about reeled in. Go gadget arms of Oda Holmlund. Now Strength. Dish is low. Again, Oda Holmlund being asked to use every little bit of agility. Hammer to open up the space to Meliga. Meliga taking the switch off. This is really smart person defense. Oh, that's going to squirrel all the way around, but it's a Swedish connection. Throwing the body around, doesn't need to hit the deck, but definitely not the easiest catch for Sarah Jeklund. But she delivers, of course, all smiles for the Swedes.
I mean, if you're going to pull it off, then great, but that just seems like pure insanity when it came out of her hands. But I get Sarah Jeklund in all that space, able to make the catch. Again, we were talking about sort of being conservative and these tight games, particularly when you're in the latter half, the business end of them, making sure you're treasuring it and taking safe options. I mean, it absolutely came down. It was right into space. It was all the things that needed to be, but it definitely sort of seemed rash in the moment, but I guess just, yeah, interesting play, keeping it dynamic, making your opponents never know your next move.
Well, I mean, it's a quirky throw, but I mean, Holmlund and Jeklund have plenty of reps together, so I'm sure Jeklund's seen that one before. in previous iterations of teams, of course. We already mentioned that Yeklan was on the gold medal winning indoor team. Well, it might have been Homlong, but they were both on that one together. Of course, coming across, making the journey, learning a little bit of German through Duolingo, and also sharing some food is how these players have bonded off the field. Are some early doors. Of course, everyone knows the iconic food of Sweden, the Swedish meatball. And there's a bit of live chat action asking us to show you Moon Cup. Moon Cup currently facing up against Yaka, that one 10-9. Goodness, this women's division is delivering all of the action. If I had my way, folks, well, I might well just bang off the other division. No, I love mixed and open too much. But that is a beautiful opportunity, well taken by Anya Gilhini. You could see Kleena Doyle heading off to the deep space, but Wagner gets in there and interrupts the pass. Gerner to Annick. Wagner casually making that almost behind the back catch after stifling the opposition's flow. Has a swing to Annick, but takes it well taken away. Chambers with the layout bid, pick up field. Love the intelligence of the mark from Anya Gilhini, fading off to stop that around throw to Nesonik.
Amazing to see the energy from Chambers at this point in the game. Everyone's sort of flagging a bit, but putting in the effort, not getting there, not getting the D, but putting in the effort, trying to get that turnover, trying to get that layout block. And that's the sort of thing that can really keep your team's energy high. When they see you digging that deep, when they see you putting that effort in, it can really help bolster everyone else. And that's absolutely what the Gravity side are going to need to do. Back in a small hole, but we've seen them do it before. It's not out of the question that they get their comeback here.
Yeah, less of a ditch, more just a divot. Well, that's a lovely laser backhand from Anna Gerner. Oh, it's a little bit risky. It's going to be needed to be backed up, and it is just about how Frederica Wagner. I got Finito, I didn't quite catch it. I'm going to have to watch the replay back on that one, but that was some risky touchy throw put out there.
Again, I wonder if JinX are just being cautious about not getting caught outside this end zone. You know, the Gravity zone is so effective at really holding them back, and they want to strike and get the disc into the end zone for the score. Another high floaty one. It did look like that one was intended for Wagner.
Oh no, it was definitely the option. It just sat and hung for such a long time. A bit like how our drone just can sit in the air and just hover if you're not touching the controls. But lovely to have these dynamic views for you. Perhaps, you know, if this game continues to go at a blistering pace, we might have a chance to give the people what they want. We might go and have a little look at the Moon Cup game against Yaka, which is currently pretty tight over in Pool A. Oh, Pool B, sorry. Because this is Pool A. So much ultimate all the time. But of course, a loss here isn't the end of the world. It will be the first in-pool stages for either of these teams. But they will have a pre-quarter final matchup. Pool A crosses with Pool B. A tricky one, with that one holding Yaka, Moon Cup Troubles and Flame.
The real heartbreak is that the loser of this game will have to play at 9, and that's what's motivating these players, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure they'll be dying to get themselves uncleated and into the nearest Polish restaurant for some delicious local cuisine, some pierogies and some beers this side of their head. Because of course there is some isotonic properties of it, but that is a turnover, a drop on the far sideline for Lundsman. Herkens. He's sweeping up all the stats. Givic back to Herkens. Givic trying to streak up line, but it's Sarah Yakland that's in the deeper space. That one around. Can she be followed up? There's a little bit of hesitation, but that's the back cone. Nearly. Maddie Muckstein coming in and getting another to add to the tally. So a break in the late stages.
It's been such a tight game, and we've had, you know, JinX go up, Gravity bring it back. It's been so tight, so competitive for both sides. And now it just feels like they've sort of left it on the field. In these final points of this game, Gravity really getting fired up, but perhaps just not having the kind of ability to maintain that right into these closing points. JinX getting sort of...
Well, to be fair, Rachel, looking really across our stats board, the real advantage is the first half, where JinX were able to nosh away and get those 2 breaks of score. Because if we just played a game for the second half, at the moment, it would only be Gravity trailing by 1. Because they had that run of 3, the glorious comeback.
We live in a world where everything can be referenced online. Imagine if the greatest moments in our sport were never filmed. Eurodisc continues to do what it takes to make free-to-watch live streams a reality. Let's leave nothing to the imagination. We'll consume the action live, and we'll support those that help to make it happen. If it wasn't streamed, it didn't happen. Eurodisc.
What a grab! Oh my God! Somehow they do it! Come on, Brett!
When your producer cuts you off mid-flow, we're so excited talking about this game, but of course our sponsors are so important, as are you, our viewers. We keep you this coverage live and free to view and on demand for, you know, for time immemorial, because of course the YouTube servers won't go down ever. That's never happened to a major media company, ever. But we are pleased to be here with you. JinX 1 point away from taking the top spot. They came in first seed in Pool A and of course the entire tournament. But random seeding generators. Scala looking for that one, but Linehan underneath it. Plenty of backup, but a little bit late. Kwan is there, picks up Scala, and it's Anya Gilheeney, another goal for the number 59. You normally see her throwing, so she's normally got lower stats, although that will just push her in front. 3 goals and 2 assists for Anya Gilheeney. Of course, such a big part of this Gravity side, and they keep the game alive for 1 more. Can they go on another run of breaks here, Doug?
Anything is possible. Yeah, we've seen a number of players that maybe we typically see behind the disc just sort of pushing through, I guess, speaking to the versatility of this side and their ability to kind of adapt on the fly. If you see your handlers getting loads of scoring stats, it means something's gone a little bit awry, but if you're getting the scores, then who's to question it? And actually, we've seen them kind of work through their systems, work through pretty much everyone. I feel like you're seeing every sort of everyone with hands on disc. We're seeing the stats being reasonably spread out. We do have a few sort of people who are a bit further ahead in the stats, but yeah, it's sort of everyone chipping in and getting the job done as much as possible.
To be fair, it probably also speaks to some really solid scouting from both teams. If your players are being pushed out of their normal spaces, it just means you know what the opposition like to do. But at the moment, it's JinX coming out on offense, looking to close this one off. And if that Moon Cup game is still going, folks, we'll send the drone over to it and give you a little bit of a bird's eye view of how that one's shaping up. Melliger to Herkins, nice reaching grab out in front. Shapely to Yeklund, Metligan out. The former Shout athlete who's been studying in Berlin all year long, because you know that tends to be how that happens when you go to school. Herkins now receives Fungovic. Ooh, a little bit of traffic there, and it's a clean block out of the blocks for Beth Kunzenberry. It's picking up Claire Gilheeney. Gilheeney the younger. Oh, but a hand block for Mellinger. Block a clock, folks. Now JinX looking to take the quick turn. And it's going to be Emily Berman in the end zone, 15-11. They'll wrap this one up over Dublin Gravity. What a performance that was. That second half was scintillating.
Yeah, definitely both teams so in it, so desperate to make sure that they're the ones coming out on top of this pool. And it wasn't to be for Gravity this time. They're unfortunately going to have their 9 AM game, which I know they were so keen to avoid, but really showing such strength at different points throughout that game, such depth to both sides, able to kind of try out different things, find new ways to disrupt their opponents, and new ways to exploit any of their weaknesses. It was really such a tight game, such a fun one to watch, and really demonstrated so much versatility for both these sides and what they're able to kind of do and adapt and bring to their opponents. And going to be so important to both these teams to kind of build on that as they move through this weekend. They're both looking incredibly strong, and I expect to see them in the higher positions as we move through the tournament.
Well, we will talk our way through the replays in this match because we are going to give the people what they want in the live chat. We're going to also have our game stats, but watching the highlights of this game, we are going to send the drone over to pitch 5 to bring you the closing moments, perhaps, of Yaka versus Mooncup. But the stats of this game, JinX really leading the charge, but the break chance is so even. Just that conversion rate, 6 of 9 for JinX. That is a fantastic defensive conversion rate indeed. But the clean holds better for Gravity.
Yeah, we definitely, I mean, we saw them come out the gate with a very clean game for both sides. JinX having to put a lot more effort into it in those early points until they sort of managed to get their offense to click a bit more and their defense all fired up. But yeah, Gravity sort of really kind of having that game in different stages. I mean, as we mentioned, not sure what came through and what was cut off, but doubling Gravity, putting in a real shift right up until sort of the final, I don't know, 6 points of the game or something, and then JinX maybe just able to dig that little bit deeper and go on a several point bounce to really kind of secure that game.
Well, let's send our drone. Thank you for flying Eurodisc Best Perspective Airways. We're going to go check out Yaka and Mooncup. My co-commentator will go and head to the bathroom. We're just trying to figure out where pitch 5 is. That looks to be not Yaka uniforms at all. Yaka sideline move. Oh, a little bit further nearer. Here we go, Yaka Mooncup, this one, just on the bottom of our drone screen. We are bringing you every drop of juice here. That's got to be Matthias with the disc. Current score should be 10 apiece. But I'll bring you the update. Ongoing gameplay, of course, covered by all of our wonderful volunteer staff. Yeah, that is Clara Matthias. Commentated on them this morning. That looks to be Elise Becquet, who's cleated up for this matchup against the Belgian side, and that will be a score for Yaka. I don't know if the time cap has been applied. I would imagine so. We'll carry on and see if that will wrap that one up, but if it has, that's Universe. They are celebrating the score, so we know it's tight in the late stages. That's 2 on the bounce, or 3 on the bounce, sorry, for Yaka, after Mooncup ripped 3 apart. It looks like they're calling a line, so that one not quite over. So this is a little bit of bonus action for you. Yes, indeed. The women's division delivering all of the goods. We will try and bring you the very end of this one. Our next time slot formally is in 5 minutes, but of course that game should have to wrap up. So 11-10, the current score line. Presumably, because of course, Ravi, this one does have live scoring. Indeed, 11-10. We don't need to send the drone to look at the scoreboard. 11-10, the score in Mooncup versus Yaka. This is bonus content. Everyone loves the bonus content. So Mooncup coming out on offense to keep the game alive and send us presumably to Universe. They've been on the comeback. A timeout being taken in that last point that Yaka posted on the board. So this shape of this game, Yaka were up 7-5 at the end of the first half. Then there's been a cluster of breaks, 3 total for Moon Cup. The team coming out of Brussels with a couple of extra personnel. I don't have the recall for the Moon Cup roster, having not called a game for them yet. That looks like maybe a Borno sister. Rika Kier trying to do a little bit of cheeky poachy action. That'll be Julia Harris just throwing that pass. Bono, oh my goodness, what a racy biscuit that is. The layout is there, but the score is not. What a fantastic play. That is the number 18. Can I grab her on my stat sheet? So that's Lison Borno. That would have been a Borno sister collection. And of course, that is what you're going to do when you're trying to keep yourself in a game to get to universe point. So 11-10 the score. Yaka in the lead after a run of 3. This is getting very spicy indeed. Inside shot. Oh, nearly taken away. That's got to be Chloe Valet with the white cap falling off. And feisty defense on her shoulder. She's going to make the call. Accepted by the looks of the hand signals. Well, we're going to have to wrap this one up. Unfortunately, folks, we have to close off this live stream, but we've brought you every single second we can of this women's game. Oh, no, Milan's changed his mind. A drop. So this, the opportunity to take it to universe, folks. We might send our spare commentator over there to go live on Instagram. So really hotting up, trying to go for the break. That's surely going to take it to universe on field 5. Well, folks, unfortunately, we have to wrap up the coverage. If you want us to have more pitches, more drones, you know what to do. Go to patreon.com/ULTI.TV and send us your money. One-off or regular subscriptions, up to you, folks. But I'm going to wrap it up. We will see you on the next stream. Thank you so much for being with us here at the European Ultimate Championship Finals. Congratulations to JinX of Berlin, 15-11 over Gravity.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.
Work on you, yeah.